Poll numbers released overnight showed Trump taking down Hillary in key battleground states, including Florida and Ohio. We will break down those numbers.
Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton back on the campaign trail later on today, but is she okay?
I don't know, folks. You think Hillary would be able to stand up here for an hour and do this?
Okay, this is both candidates reveal brand new details about their health. We're going to tell you about it.
All right, and a pastor calls out Donald Trump.
Mr. Trump, I invited you here to thank us for
Okay.
not
Okay.
to give a political speech.
Okay, that's good. And I'm going to go back on the front. Okay.
Right. So Donald Trump adjusted. But was this all a setup from the beginning? We have some stunning evidence, and which maybe shows that it was indeed set up, because Steve's on Facebook and shared something with us. Mornings are better with friends.
Well, if you have 54 days before the big election, it would be great to have a couple of people from the election campaign. We got the top of the ticket on the Republican side. Donald Trump going to be joining us a little later on, along with his running mate, Mike Pence, who's going to be right here on the couch with us.
It's going to be a big show today.
Abby, who else do we have on?
Myself.
Who knows? Yeah, you're right. Abby's in
Get to
for
join you guys
Ainsley
this
today.
morning.
And, you
Good
know,
to have you.
it's the first time we had somebody on the couch, Steve, who said, wow, it's like sleeping in. Because normally she does the 5 a.m. show.
Look at that.
Look how
That
well
1
rested.
hour makes a big difference, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. I know when we used to have to start 5 a.m. before there was a 5 a.m. show, it would be a titanic difference.
So anyway, we've got Trump and Pence. And by the way, we should point out, we invited Hillary Clinton on. We invited Tim Kaine.
Yeah.
We invite them on every day. And still, for this season, they have decided they're
But
too
there's
busy.
still 54 days to go. They
That's
can
right.
still say yes.
Never say never.
They can still come.
Hillary
Sorry.
called into Bill O'Reilly's show, and Tim Kaine used to come on.
Yeah. All right, we do want to begin, though, with the race for the White House. Hillary Clinton, she's getting back out of bed and on the campaign trail today for the first time since her collapse.
Wow, and man, she probably feels a sense of urgency, but Colin Powell still isn't convinced, slamming the Democratic nominee's health in brand new polls. In emails, I should say.
That's right, leaked emails. Fox News senior political correspondent Mike Emanuel is down today. He's in North Carolina, the beautiful city of Greensboro. Hey, Michael.
Steve, Brian, Abby, good morning to you. Hillary Clinton's message here in Greensboro will be her vision for lifting up children and families to make sure every child has the potential to live up to their God-given potential. Hillary Clinton, we have not seen since Sunday, since she left the campaign trail to deal with a bout of pneumonia. Clinton's campaign released a letter from her doctor talking about her treatment for what's described as mild bacterial pneumonia using the antibiotic Levaquin. Dr. Lisa Bardak wrote, quote, "She is recovering well with antibiotics and rest. She continues to remain healthy and fit to serve as President of the United States." Meanwhile, her husband, former President Bill Clinton, has been out on the campaign trail filling in for her, and here's how he described her illness.
I just talked to her. She's feeling great, and I think she'll be back out there tomorrow. It's a crazy time we live in, you know, when people think there's something unusual about getting the flu. Last time I checked, millions of people were getting it every year.
Then there's the Colin Powell leaked emails where Secretary Powell describes concern for Clinton's appearance, writing, quote, "On HD, high-definition TV, she doesn't look good. She is working herself to death." The Clinton campaign is clearly hoping it will be a smooth return to the campaign trail, with that first critical presidential debate now just 11 days away. Abby, Steve, Brian.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. Well, it's good to know that she's only got the flu.
Only got the
Thank
flu.
you, Bill
Who
Clinton.
knew?
You know
The
what?
flu.
How many times are they going to have to walk back and correct what Bill Clinton says? I mean, it's great to have him as a fundraiser, but no longer is he a layup asset when he hops on the stump.
Well, let's just review what they have said about her condition over the last week or two. She's fine. That's just a cough. She's got allergies, overheated, dehydrated, pneumonia, and according to
Well.
Bill Clinton, her husband, she had the flu.
Well, and he spoke to Charlie Rose this week as well, and they didn't actually air this part of the interview where Bill Clinton said, actually, when it comes to fainting, it happens, quote, frequently.
Right.
Well, actually, no, not frequently, not very often. You're thinking, well, do you know how people
Which one
that
is it?
faint frequently?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, you had an elbow problem, a head problem, and then we watched what just happened there.
It sounds like because of fainting. Now, because she did collapse, whatever happened, they insist now she did not lose consciousness. The day after September the 11th, on September the 12th, we had Donald Trump on the phone. We asked him about her condition, and he wished her the best and hoped she recovered quickly. And he also revealed that he was going to be releasing some of his medical records on Thursday. Today's Thursday. Where is he releasing them? The Dr. Oz Show.
Yesterday, he actually went on and taped that show. Today, we'll see the whole thing.
Here we are in this race for the White House. One has been homesick for 3 days with the flu or pneumonia, whatever you call it. The other is releasing medical records on Dr. Oz. I mean, you just cannot predict what's going to happen next.
Is this a great country or what?
Right. You know what? I want you to listen for this word. I don't know if it should be insulting to the male, to the males on the planet, but Dr. Oz used the word stamina. So I don't know if we should be offended. Let's listen.
Let's talk about stamina. You've used that word a lot. You've made an issue in this campaign. You argue that a president has to have a tremendous amount of stamina. If elected at age 70, you will be the oldest person to ever enter the Oval Office. Why do you think you have the stamina for the job?
Yeah, just about the same age as Ronald Reagan, and Hillary's a year behind me. I would say just based on my life. I mean, I actually, and I don't know if this makes sense, I feel as good today as I did when I was 30.
He doesn't need much sleep. Nothing's really happened to him to make people question about his health to begin with.
No more fast food. Apparently he wants to lose 15 to 20 pounds.
That's what
the doctor recommended as well.
According to somebody who was in the audience, apparently he said the reason he likes fast food is because he knows what's in it.
Yeah, that's why we don't eat fast food, because we know what's in it, or we can only generalize what's in it.
He also revealed he has not been in the hospital apparently since he was 11 with an appendicitis, and his main.
But I need to see more. So I need to see some details.
Well, you'll see it today on. I'm just giving folks a taste of what's going to be on Dr. Oz. He also said his main form of exercising is hand gesturing at the rallies.
I love that. I love that. Well, he's going to join us in the 7 o'clock hour, so we look forward to hearing what he has to say. But I think the big story today is the new polls that are out, because the health. We're getting more about that. But what really matters is the swing state polls, especially in states like Ohio and Florida. And what we're seeing there is the momentum continues to be the last few weeks with Donald Trump.
All right, first let's take a look at, we've got 4 polls to show you. First one, this is brand new from Quinnipiac, and if it's a 4-way race, as currently it is, look at that. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump pretty much are tied within the margin of error. She's got 41, he's got 39, Gary Johnson at 13, and Jill Stein only 4.
That number of 13 is pretty high. Now, let's say, as soon as you saw the polls closing nationally, Clinton camp would say, well, look at the battleground states. It's not close. Man, has that changed. Look at what's happening in Florida. Trump up 3, 47 to 44. Johnson with 6, Stein with 1. That is pretty substantial. That's the biggest lead I think he's ever had there.
Yeah, and this is probably the most important one of all. They say if you win Ohio, you go on to win the presidency. And you look at this in Ohio, Trump is now 46% to Clinton 41%. You also have to look at where they're spending money and where they have most of their campaign offices. And Hillary continues to open more in Ohio. Clearly, there's a concern about that state.
You know what's kind of interesting is you don't have the full impact, I don't think, according to some poll experts, of the stagger on Sunday and maybe the deplorables on Friday. It says September 7th to September 12th, but for the stagger, which happened on Sunday.
The collapse?
Yes, I could say stagger. I don't see what exactly happened inside the car.
I think she collapsed.
Okay, we could.
I'm not saying she passed out. I'm just saying she collapsed. She was standing and then boom.
But something happened.
Being that no big news has happened since, you wonder about if there's going to be even more of a boost for Trump afterwards.
Stay tuned.
Well, meanwhile, he was in Flint, Michigan yesterday.
Talking a little bit about the water crisis and how some folks at one particular church, Bethel United Methodist Church, had done all they could to try to rectify the water situation. And you can see him right there with water behind him.
But there was a little bit of an awkward moment that happened as he was speaking, and things got a little political, as you would imagine on a campaign trail, where he starts to talk about his opponent Hillary Clinton, and then she steps in.
She does.
On stage.
The pastor.
Everything she touched didn't work out. Nothing. Now Hillary Clinton.
Mr. Trump, I invited you here to thank us for
okay.
Not to give a political speech.
Okay, that's good. And I'm going to go back onto Flint. Okay.
By the way, he may be a political novice, but he's not a novice when it comes to being quick on his feet. That is the best recovery from being interrupted in the middle of a speech
what I thought.
that you'll ever have. Meanwhile, this came out a short time afterwards about the pastor and a possible agenda.
Well, Todd Starnes was looking at her Facebook earlier in the day, and Reverend Faith Green Timmons wrote this: "Today is our day. We have our chance to show Donald Trump that this nation is filled with intelligent, wise, black citizens of integrity, many of whom live right here in Flint, Michigan. What he will see is how we are braving a man-made catastrophe," referring to the water. "He will not use us. We will educate him." And so some have wondered whether or not it was a setup ambush, although by saying "we will educate him," maybe what she was writing was "we're going to tell him what happened."
Right. I do think there is something to that, though. When they're out campaigning, the candidates do a lot of the talking, but it is so important to listen to what the people have to say, to what the voters have to say. So I'm not sure that they wrote that the best way that they could have, but in terms of Donald Trump being out there, I mean, that was half of the purpose, right? To hear sort of the concerns that they care about, things that they want him to speak to. I think that's an important part of it.
That's a great point, and also the picture with the pastor and President Obama maybe give people an idea where the politics land. But one thing I think that Trump is making progress with, I don't care if you don't vote for me, I want to be a president for all Americans. Right. That's a rare unifying statement from any candidate that we've seen over the last year.
Especially after the deplorables comment.
Right.
That's what you want to hear right now.
So was it an ambush? We don't know. We do know, however, and this is a little suspicious, she has taken that page down. So it has been deleted. All right, it is 6:11 now here in New York City on a very busy day, and Heather's got some news, and she starts with the weather.
I certainly do. Good morning. Good morning to all of you. And Abby, welcome back from vacation. Love having you here today. Let's start out with Tropical Storm Julia now battering parts of the East Coast. Flash flood watches in effect along the Carolina coast. They are bracing for more than 1.5 feet of rain. Gusty winds and torrential rain also pounding Florida, even spawning this tornado near Orlando. The winds 85 miles per hour. And then take a look at this video. Just in from Georgia, trees knocked over and the power knocked out. We will watch that story throughout the morning and bring you the latest. Stay safe out there, please. Now to extreme weather, half a world away, and you have to see this video. Look at these massive waves washing over the seawalls and tossing shipping containers around like toys. Look at that right there. This all thanks to Typhoon Moranti. Taiwan and China being blasted with winds of more than 190 miles per hour. Can you imagine that? 190. And then look at this guy. Oh my goodness. He is on a moped. He's hit by flying debris in that wind. Moranti is now the strongest storm anywhere in the world this year alone. Stay off the moped in a storm like that. Well, back here at home, disturbing new details about the man that police say deliberately plowed his car into a group of police officers in Phoenix. Hard to watch. Mark Payne was put on probation after he attacked officers nearly 20 years ago. Documents show that those officers warned the court that Payne would strike again, and now he certainly has. Payne is homeless and was under the influence of drugs or alcohol when he mowed down those officers. Thankfully, those officers are expected to be okay. And those are your headlines. I'll see you back here in about 20 minutes or so.
What a tale. All right.
Something else.
Heather, thank you.
Thanks,
Heather.
All right. President Obama is happily stumping for Hillary Clinton, but leaked email reveal it may all be a front. Do they really like each other? Well, we're going to report, and you will decide.
Yeah, plus millions of your tax dollars now going to ensure the emotional wellness of refugees. But aren't they already getting a free ride? And who are they, by the way?
They're right there.
President Obama is happily stumping for Hillary Clinton, but is it all a big front? Newly leaked emails from Colin Powell reveal some tensions between the two. One email from March 2015 sent by Democratic donor Jeffrey Leeds to former Secretary of State Colin Powell reads like this: Clinton has everything, and she hates that the president, that man, as the Clintons call him, kicked her blank, fill in the blank, you can figure that out, in 2008. She can't believe it. She can't accept it. Kate Anderson Brower is the author of a New York Times bestseller, First Woman. Kate joins us now to weigh in on this rocky relationship and what the truth is behind statements like that. Hey, Kate.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Kate, what do you make of this? Does this surprise you that Colin Powell has validated those are indeed his emails and that those are indeed the conversation going on behind the scenes?
Not at all. I mean, when I was reporting for my book, everything that I learned was pointing to this difficult relationship between the Obamas and the Clintons. That even before the 2008 election, the Obamas viewed the Clintons as this political dynasty that came before them, that more could have been done if it weren't for President Clinton's behavior in the White House. So I wasn't surprised by those emails. I do think the relationship has changed in recent years, but it was a very difficult relationship from the start.
He seemed pretty sincere a couple of days ago when he says, I'm not going through the motions. But he does say this in the letter. Leeds went on to say, and we'll go ahead and take a look at it, I don't think the president would weep if she found herself in real legal trouble. But I guess that might be Trump, no pun intended, by the fact that he wants the best opportunity for his legacy to continue, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think that my book was talking about Michelle and Hillary in particular. Yeah. And one thing I thought that was really interesting is that when Laura Bush's advisors went to Michelle Obama's advisors and gave her a binder of all the information on all the programs that the First Lady had been working on, one of those programs was Hillary Clinton's, one of her favorite programs as First Lady, about saving America's treasures. It was about a historic preservation. And the fact that Michelle Obama did not seem interested in taking up that program or promoting it, and it has since lost funding, I think points to the fact that there was not a really close bond there. There were no couples dinners. Not a lot of photos can be found of of Michelle Obama with Hillary Clinton. Clearly, there was a strained relationship there. But, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I think we're seeing that now during this campaign. And that's why you see President Obama going out there.
And we do know that First Lady Michelle Obama and the former First Lady Laura Bush appeared yesterday together, taking some questions about women's rights around the world. Kate Anderson Brower, thanks so much. The name of your book is First Women, the Grace and Power of America's Modern First Lady, who are more active than ever before. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, coming up straight ahead, it's a Fox News alert as well. 2 more terrorists are now walking the streets, all thanks to the Obama administration emptying Gitmo. That makes 9 total. Plus, the race for the White House is a knockdown, drag-out fight to the finish. So who scored the knockouts this week? We're stepping into the ring with the best and brightest. His name is Ed Rollins.
24 minutes after the hour, back with some quick headlines. 2 more detainees released from Gitmo this year just returned to terror. And this, according to a new report by the Office of National Intelligence. The total number of detainees who rejoined terror groups since President Obama started releasing them, now at least 9. And speaking of terrorists, one of them released from Gitmo and sent to Uruguay is now in a coma. This after a self-imposed hunger strike. Well, he's upset over his living conditions, even though he was seen in South America partying with friends. Steve, over to you.
Thank you, Abby. The race for the White House is a knockdown, drag-out fight to the finish, with the nominees going toe-to-toe on the trail until voters' final decision come a Tuesday in November, just around the corner. We're keeping score each week in the title boxing ring with former prize fighter and political analyst Ed Rollins, known back in those days as Rocky Rollins. He's also the chairman of the Great American PAC, which Donald Trump supports, and they support him. What's going on with the polls? Trump's having a good week.
She's had the worst week she's had in a long, long time, and my sense is it's now about her, not him. He's had a good week. He's given a couple good speeches on policy, substance, short speeches, 15 minutes, and he's basically getting very disciplined.
So you're shorter speeches, you're saying less is more?
And, you know, less is more when you're basically making lots of speeches the course of the week, staying on message. The key thing, he's now ahead in Florida, he's now ahead in Ohio. Those are 2 states you have to win. He wins those states, and what Romney carried the last time, and a couple more, he's got the 270.
All right. Meanwhile, Ed's going to analyze 3 sound bites from the past week or so. The first one. First up, Hillary versus Trump on deplorables.
To just be grossly generalistic, you can put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables, right? The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it.
Well, my opponent slanders you as deplorable and irredeemable. I call you hardworking American patriots who love your country and want a better future for all our people.
Okay, I think I know where this one's going.
she's going to live to regret this remark. This is now creating a great movement out there called the deplorables. So it's ads out there. My super PAC has an ad. The campaign has an ad. He has 50 million people supporting him, according to polls. Sure. So she's saying 25 million people are homophobic, anti-Islamic, what have you, and he basically counters saying they're good Americans, they're hardworking
But
Americans.
don't you think she meant to say it so that her particular base knows if you vote for him, you're a racist? She did that on purpose.
The audience was before all her millionaire fashion Hollywood friends, and basically for the lesbian and gay community was what it was the honoring that night. $6 million dinner. She deliberately said it. She didn't realize the consequences of it, and she will before it's over.
Okay. Next soundbite. Ladies and gentlemen, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump on Putin and Russia.
Every day that goes by, this just becomes more and more of a reality television show. It's not a serious presidential campaign, and it is beyond one's imagination to have a candidate for president praising a Russian autocrat like Vladimir Putin.
Of course, Hillary Clinton failed totally with her Russian reset. She tried so hard. Then she talks about me. Oh, Donald Trump likes Putin, and Putin likes Trump. Honestly, I don't know the gentleman, but you know what? He's been nice to me. If we got along with Russia, that wouldn't be so bad.
All right, Ed, who won that round?
Well, she's right on it being a reality show, and the reality is the campaign is very, very close, and it is a television show, and she's not doing very well. When you criticize him for being friendly to Putin on the same week the Secretary of State signs a very bad deal in Syria that the Defense Secretary is against and the President himself says is going to fall apart, it sounds a little ridiculous on her part.
No kidding. All right, the final soundbite. Hillary versus Trump, national security.
This is a scandal that threatens national security and that involves a multi-million-dollar pay-for-play scheme between the Secretary of State and her foundation. Whether it's her emails, her disasters in Iraq, Libya, and Syria, or her failures on the economy, of which it's been disastrous, Hillary Clinton lacks the judgment, temperament, and moral character to lead this country.
No conversation about our national security would be complete unless we acknowledge that the nominee on the other side promises to do things that will make us less safe. National security experts on both sides of the aisle are chilled by what they're hearing from the Republican nominee.
Okay, Ed, how'd that round go?
Well, unfortunately for her, this week was the week that Jim Woosley, who was her husband's CIA director, endorsed Trump because he said at least Trump can keep secrets, which is a pretty good line. In addition, 14 Medal of Honors came out for him this week. He has 88 admirals and generals already endorsing him. So you can't say national security people don't think he's got the competence to go forth. So I think she, as much as I wanted to give her a round because she had the worst week of all and she ended up in bed sick, I would have liked to have given her something, but there was nothing she could win this week.
All right. Boom, boom. Thank you very
pal.
much. We'll see you back in the ring next week.
Thank you.
All right. So Ed's decision, Trump, all three rounds. Meanwhile, coming up on this Thursday, it's been nearly a decade since Captain Sully's miracle landing on the Hudson River. So what have we learned since then? A new report says nothing. What we need to know before you get into a plane over LaGuardia coming up next. Plus, millions of your tax dollars now going to ensure the emotional wellness of refugees. Really? We'll tell you about that. But first, happy birthday to Prince Harry. He's 32 years old today.
Yesterday, we started to tell you about this story. Yesterday, we showed you an Army vet paralyzed from the chest down and a boy with cerebral palsy, both teaching Colin Kaepernick a patriotic lesson and trying their hardest to stand when they heard the national anthem.
Well, you know what? Pictures came flooding in showing you, our proud American viewers, standing tall. Eddie writes, here's my 5-year-old son, Deacon, never misses a chance to salute and put his hand over his heart when the anthem is played or when he sees a soldier.
How cute is he? Well, Kelly sent this picture of her grandson, RJ, standing during the national anthem.
Kristen Spoor and a 1-year-old is showing respect to this country, to the country during a soccer tournament. She says, quote, more respect than grown men.
Meanwhile, Xandra's 7-year-old son, Aiden, a devoted Steelers fan, that is to say, stands proudly while the national anthem is playing. He sings some of it and hums along what he doesn't know with his eyes closed.
I love that. You know, teaching
With
kids
his
at
helmet
such a young age the importance of patriotism.
That's
so
right.
Important, you know?
And
That's great.
in the Beaumont, Texas situation, they feel as though they're teaching their kids activism, I guess, when 12-year-olds sit out the national anthem. I think it's the wrong thing to do.
So if you've got an image of someone in your family standing for the national anthem, please share them with us. You could email them, friends@foxnews.com. You could Facebook them. You could tweet us. I believe we're even accepting comments on CB Radio.
Are we now?
Yeah.
CB radio.
Yeah.
I finally got the terminology now.
Break a buddy.
I used to have that all memorized. What about you, Heather? I had the whip antenna on our Wagoneer.
I was just on a Wagoneer. We had one of those. I was just thinking, I have a picture of my youngest son who just started kindergarten and my Naval Academy brother teaching him how to salute. So I'll share that picture later. It's
fantastic.
wonderful. Such a great thing. All right. Good morning to all of you. I'll take it from here. I've got a couple headlines to bring you right now. Heroic officers and Good Samaritans rescue a man pinned inside a truck engulfed in flames. Hard to watch this right now. Stunning body cam video now just released.
Let me down here!
The pickup truck driver trapped after smashing head-on into a school bus. This happened in North Carolina. An officer's body cam capturing the desperate attempt to flee the man. Police able to rip the door off and rescue him. Luckily, no one on the bus was hurt. Well, the next time this happens, it could be a real disaster. Watch.
This is the captain. Brace for impact.
Well, we all remember this, the miracle on the Hudson, and now there is a new report out that reveals that most of the NTSB safety recommendations that stemmed from that crash have not been carried out by the FAA. Some of those recommendations include pilot training and equipping planes with life rafts and vests. In 2009, Captain Sullenberger successfully landed a plane full of passengers on the Hudson River after both engines failed, resulting from a bird strike. And how would you like to sail on a ship named the USS Harvey Milk? Well, the Navy Secretary Ray Mabus now defending his choice of unexpected names for several new battleships. The names include the gay rights activist Harvey Milk, former U.S. Representative Gabrielle Giffords, civil rights leader Medgar Evers, and labor leader Cesar Chavez. Well, Mabus says he wants to pick American heroes from outside the military arena. What do you think about that? USS Harry S. Truman to Medgar Evers or anybody else there? Well, you might soon be footing medical bills for refugees. The Obama administration plans on spending more than $4.5 million of taxpayer money to give, quote, emotional wellness help to the refugees. This is the president plans on taking in more than 100,000 refugees by the year 2017. The funding would be in addition to Medicaid and other medical programs. Each refugee admitted into the U.S. costs an estimated $64,000. And those are your headlines. I'll see you back here.
And by the way, Germany kicked out 6 more. It turns out they were members of ISIS. They didn't answer that question. They didn't check that box.
They took over a million refugees.
There you go.
It's unbelievable.
All right, Heather, thank you. Meanwhile, the TV show Hell's Kitchen is back for its 16th season, and 18 new chefs are being put to the test. They'll have to prove their determination in kind of an army boot camp before they are allowed to hit this kitchen.
Are you ready? Yes, sir. That's what I thought you'd say.
So let's step into the Fox fight with Fox Senior VP of Marketing, Michael Tamara, who sat down with the host of the show, one of my favorites, Gordon Ramsay. I love this show.
So good. That's right. The world-renowned chef has no mercy in the kitchen and is about to push 18 new chefs to their limit. Gordon Ramsay gave me the inside scoop on the new season. Season 16, congratulations.
It's a big one.
And you were just picked up for 2 more seasons, Gordon Ramsay.
I know, someone's going to be busy.
You are carrying this network on your back.
Season 16.
I hope they realize it.
They've been great. Nice thing about Hell's Kitchen is that we run a restaurant. Fox runs a show, and when that sort of door opens, we're fully booked, and it is like a proper restaurant. This year, Season 16 unveils talent unlike never before. And then, halfway through the competition, we turn it on its head. So pretty unique.
When you started out 16 seasons ago, did you ever think you'd be here at this point?
No. I think the most important thing for me is we keep it real. It is a fully booked restaurant. We have a maitre d', the bar staff are there, and those tables are hot, and we can fill those tables 3 or 4 times every night. When we open and we kick off, it's live for 2 hours, and we've got 150 guests queuing up to get in there. So, I'm more nervous than the contestants because I want it right.
You had the reputation for being tough, frank, direct. I don't know if you heard. What in the is going on in here?
God, sometimes it comes back to bite me in the ass and I get into trouble for it, but I'm going to call it as I see it. I don't sit there and edit myself in a way that if I meant that, it was in that moment because they'd done that, not just to me, but to the customers.
Yeah.
Secondly, I'm now unraveling your mess. You put me in so and I'm busting my balls to get our reputation up.
What's the biggest challenge in terms of keeping it fresh season to season?
Getting creative with getting the best out of those chefs. We challenge them and we push them to the limits, but there's an upside to that because it makes them stronger. They come in with gears that they felt they'd never had, and they leave a much better person.
Make sure to catch the new season of Hell's Kitchen only on Fox. I have to say, I was a little nervous to interview him, but he was
so well behaved.
A total pussycat. The gig is up. Season 16 of Hell's Kitchen starts next week on September 23rd. And be sure to check out FoxNewsMagazine.com for more of my celebrity interviews. And follow me on Twitter and Instagram at FoxSiteMichael.
Fantastic.
Is he really a pussycat on
He was very sweet and charming, yes.
But on TV, you need a Kevlar T-shirt. Holy cow.
Exactly.
All right, Michael, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Coming up straight ahead, a wall of silence as Hillary Clinton's IT specialists ignore a congressional subpoena by pleading the fifth, and some didn't even show up. So why won't they talk? Judge Andrew Napolitano joins us to discuss. At least that's what he said he'd do.
And finding out why Dancing with the Stars winner Alfonso Ribeiro is in our green room with Tony the Tiger. It's going to be a good morning.
Why didn't he share with the judge?
Because it's great.
All right, some headlines now. From Commander-in-Chief to Commander of the Canvas, President George W. Bush publishing a book of oil paintings showing active military members and veterans that, of course, he painted. It'll be out next year, and all profits will go towards veterans charities. And did you know Hillary Clinton has a new book out? It's called Stronger Together, but the sales of the book, not so strong. It sold less than 3,000 copies in its first week. I'm out of copy, which means it's time for Abby and the Judge.
Thank you, Brian. All right, after a Clinton IT specialist gave Congress the stiff arm Tuesday, Chair of the House Oversight Committee, Jason Chaffetz, expressed his deep frustration right here on Fox and Friends. Listen.
First of all, we have a duly issued subpoena, and we had Mr. Pagliano choose to not show up. Guess what? This ain't an optional exercise. When you have a subpoena issued, if it happened to anybody else in the world, do you think you'd be in jail or put to have some handcuffs on you? I mean, they got to show up.
Question now, will Brian Pagliano face legal consequences for ignoring the subpoena, or will he walk away scot-free? Well, here to weigh in, Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. Always good to have you on the couch.
Good to see you, sir. Abby.
All right, so what is going on here? I mean, this really is sort of, in your words, a head-scratcher, because any other person that would be issued a subpoena, you would think, would face some sort of legal trouble after this.
Well, if he didn't want to answer the questions, it would have been legally proper for him to show up and assert his Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination, which he's done before. But the reason I say it's a head-scratcher is there's no legal basis for him simply not to show up. Congressman Chaffetz is exactly correct. But the ball is in the court of the House of Representatives. They need to go to a judge and have the judge order him to show, and then if he violates that, then the judge will hold him in contempt, and then he could face jail time. The whole process is not very long and can be done in a couple of weeks. But there is simply no legal basis, or in my opinion, even rationale, for him not showing up.
Well, and this just feeds into the narrative and to why this oversight committee is even having these hearings. The critics of this would say, look, the FBI has already made their decision. We already know that, you know, she's not been charged for this, right? So why are we still questioning those folks?
Because the evidence of Mrs. Clinton's failure to safeguard state secrets that were given to her in her job responsibility as Secretary of State is overwhelming. The evidence that she lied about this under oath is overwhelming. The evidence that people that worked for her destroyed her mobile devices and irretrievably wiped clean her server is overwhelming. This is called obstruction of justice. And the FBI looked the other way. So when Congress saw this, they said, maybe this is a political decision by the FBI. Give us your records so that we can view them. That's when this problem started. The FBI does not want to surrender its full records to the Congress. That's why Congressman Chaffetz, personally served an FBI agent on national television while he was testifying with a subpoena to produce all of their files. And over in the Senate side, a similar event is going on.
So what are the questions they'd want to ask at this point, Jason Chaffetz? If they actually did show up for these hearings, what are the things they'd want to know at this point?
What is the evidence that you ignored, and why did you ignore it? That's what I would ask if I were in a position to interrogate the FBI agents. Were you free to investigate Mrs. Clinton from the beginning? I think the answer to that is no, because they did not use normal law enforcement tools available to them. They didn't summon a grand jury. They didn't get any subpoenas. They didn't serve any search warrants. They just didn't do this is a most un-FBI-like investigation.
Just so many questions remain.
Yes.
Judge Napolitano, always good to have you here.
Oh, nice to be
Good to see you this morning. All right, well, coming up, we have a huge show still ahead for you this morning. Donald Trump and his running mate, Governor Mike Pence. Good morning to you. It is Thursday, September 15, 2016. I'm Abby Huntsman in for Ainsley Earhart. And brand new poll numbers released overnight show Trump taking down Hillary in key battleground states, including Florida and the all-important Ohio. Donald Trump is live in just moments with his reaction.
I think his reaction is he's going to like that. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton back on the campaign trail later on today. But is she really well enough?
I don't know, folks. You think Hillary would be able to stand up here for an hour and do this?
This is both candidates reveal brand new details about their health.
Meanwhile, a pastor calls out Donald Trump.
Mr. Trump, I invited you here to thank us for
Okay.
not
Okay.
to give a political speech.
Okay, that's good. And I'm going to go back on the thing. Okay.
But was the interruption a setup from the beginning? We have some stunning evidence, which you can only find if you get social media. And I have a password now. And let me just remind you, in case you're asked in the street later, your mornings are better because you're with friends.
And welcome aboard, folks. Look who's in today for Ainsley. We've got Abby Huntsman. Good to have you.
It's good to be here.
Yeah.
The Ducey Kill Meat Sandwich.
It's absolutely,
I like it.
I guess so. I think it's very popular at Carnegie's Deli. I'm not sure what it would consist of. Write us. Tell us what
I
it would
do.
be.
A lot of bologna and some tongue.
Yeah, that's true. Well said.
People do eat tongue, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I lived in
At
China. They
Carnegie
love
Deli.
it there.
What does the tongue taste like?
Yuck.
Right?
A little slimy.
A little slimy?
chickeny.
Okay.
Don't recommend
Did
it.
you have tongue in China?
I did. You try everything over in China. Most of the time, you don't know what you're eating. You just eat it.
You don't ask? It's in Chinese.
That's why Frosted Flakes have been selling for many,
Yes.
many years. They're delicious.
And we know it's in them. Yeah.
Yeah.
No tongue.
All right. Well, let's go over to Heather Nauert this morning for some headlines. Good morning, Heather.
Brian, by the way, have you ever heard of head cheese?
Yeah.
The little brain in it and stuff?
Right. I heard a tripe.
They have
Isn't
that back in
tripe
Wisconsin.
stomach lining?
You know, anybody still eating breakfast out there?
I was just
No.
thinking that.
The answer is no. Disgusting thing you bought and ate.
Stick with the Cheerios. All right. Good morning to all of you. Hope you're off to a great day. Let's start out with a Fox News alert. Tropical storm Julia is now battering parts of the East Coast. Flash flood watches in effect along the Carolina coast, where they are bracing for more than a half foot of rain. That storm spawning this tornado near Orlando. The winds 85 miles per hour. And then more extreme weather. Half a world away. And you have to see this video. Massive waves washing over seawalls and tossing shipping containers around like bath toys. This is from Typhoon Moranti. Taiwan and China being blasted with winds of more than 190 miles per hour. Back here at home, a man suspected of shooting and killing a North Carolina police officer is behind bars this morning, brought down by a SWAT team. After 4 days on the run, police took Lucien Fenner into custody in an apartment complex in Rhode Island. He's accused of opening fire on Officer Tim Bracking, killing him. The district attorney wants Fenner to face the death penalty. And disturbing new details this morning about the man that police say deliberately plowed his car into a group of police officers in Phoenix. That video, hard to watch. Mark Payne, you can see him right there, was put on probation after he attacked 3 officers nearly 20 years ago. Documents show that those officers warned the court that Payne would strike again. Payne is homeless and was under the influence of drugs or alcohol when he mowed down those officers. All 3 are expected to be okay. And love a good story, and this is certainly one. Talk about showing respect at an early age. It is a baby saluting its Marine dad from the womb. What? Yep, the parents in Georgia say their doctor was trying to wake up the 7-year-old baby at a sonogram appointment when he or she, we don't know which sex it is just yet, suddenly raised that's why I'm saying its tiny hand to an eyebrow like a miniature Marine. Well, both the baby's dad and grandfather served in the U.S. military. Love that story. How sweet to see that in a sonogram. 12 weeks old at this point.
Well, we don't know if it's a boy or a girl, but clearly a patriot.
Either way, it definitely served.
Thank you, Heather.
Wishing that mom the best.
Yeah, thanks, Heather. Meanwhile, joining us now, the man who's running for president on the Republican side. I don't know if you've heard of him, Donald Trump. Donald, welcome back to the show.
Good morning. Thank you.
Well, for the first time in a long time, you can look at the polls and actually feel really strongly that you're doing well in almost every battleground state. What is your reaction to, for example, what you're doing in Florida, up 41-39, with Johnson getting
47-44.
47-44, with Johnson getting a surprising, well, he's still getting 6%.
Well, my reaction is we've really had a good month, I think, Brian.